Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday, I hope you all are doing well. It is the game preview. Everton taking on Nottingham Forest. Don't know how I managed to cock that up. Nottingham Forest tomorrow afternoon at Goodison Park. Frank Lampard's third and Everton's third game of the season, and Everton still searching for those first points of the season as well. Obviously, 2 defeats on the bounce for Frank Lampard's team, a defeat to Chelsea on the opening day of the season at Goodison, and of course last weekend's defeat to Aston Villa at Villa Park makes this game quite significant, really. Now, I don't want to sit here and say it's a must-win and, this, that and the other, because we are still really, really, really early on in the season. I think any sort of conversation regarding, any problem or any issue or any worry should be sort of muted for the moment, because we are so early on in the season, and, I keep saying it, but I'll repeat myself again. Last season we seen teams like Arsenal lose their first 3 games on the bounce and then, end up finishing comfortably in the European positions come the end of the season. And I'm not saying that it's the same for Everton, because obviously, our season last season is causing enough anxiety and worry as it is. I don't think we're looking at, 3 defeats on the bounce thinking, oh, it's all right, we'll be okay towards the end of the season. I think we're all looking at it going, look at where we were last season, look at how we finished last season, barely surviving relegation, and add that to the fact that we haven't got a striker in, and we've lost our 3 first Premier League games on the bounce. It will be a very different outlook than other than than just how it's only the start of the season, so we don't have to worry. But I do think we are still really, really early on in the season, and any sort of talk of any problem, I think, is a little bit premature so far. Having said that, tomorrow is really, really important, because if Everton are to lose this game, then it would be 3 defeats on the bounce for Frank Lampard, which would be worrying and obviously would be massively disappointing as well. But this is also Everton's last home game before the Merseyside derby, which is our 7th game of the season, 6th game in the season. After this, we play Brentford and Leeds away from home, as well obviously as Fleetwood in the cup. And Brentford away, difficult game of football. Not an easy team to go and beat away from home. And Leeds away from home is a really difficult game as well. So tomorrow is our biggest opportunity, as I said, leading up to that Merseyside derby, to go out there and get 3 points. And I don't think there'll be many Evertonians that are satisfied with anything other than 3 points tomorrow. And that's why this is sort of a bit of a high-pressured game, because the expectation is that we go out and win and sort of put these last 2 games behind us. And don't get me wrong, the performances in the last 2 games haven't been massively worrying. Okay, the game against Aston Villa, we weren't great whatsoever, but we were in the game. We lost to as Frank Lampard said, a miscontrol from Danny Ings and a nice finish, and then a sort of counter-attack goal as well. And as I said, in the review on Wednesday, I honestly think had we have had 10-15 minutes more, we'd have taken something out of that game. And the Chelsea game, we ended up losing to a soft penalty and nullified them to very, very little. So it's not like we've been battered for the opening 2 games and we're sitting here going, oh my God, we're absolutely awful. Defensively, we actually look a lot better. We actually look a lot stronger. Obviously, we've injected a little bit of youth in the midfield with Onana coming in. Whether or not he'll make his first start tomorrow, we'll wait and see. We are still massively, massively light. In fact, we are criminally light up front. The fact that we still haven't managed to get a striker in when we've sat here for the last 2 weeks talking about how dreadful our front 3 have been. We knew, from the Chelsea game that those 3 players couldn't play together. They were then tried together again against Aston Villa and they were completely useless. And now we go into another game of football where the manager may have to try that front 3 once again, and that's why the title of this live stream is We Must Start Solomon Rondon tomorrow, because we absolutely must start Solomon Rondon tomorrow. I think if I see that team news being announced at 2 o'clock and I'm sat in the boozer 10 minutes away from the stadium and Everton have lined up with a front 3 of Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon and Dwight McNeil, I might just go back home, to be honest with you, because the 3 of them are completely incapable of playing across that front 3 on their own. We need a striker, and whilst Solomon Rondon mightn't be ideal, and whilst we all know we need to go and bring in somebody else, and we need to go and bring in somebody that is a lot better and a lot more capable of, I suppose, doing what Dominic Calvert-Lewin can do, we haven't got that yet, and we're not going to have that before 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. So for me, Solomon Rondon simply has to start tomorrow. It's not a very difficult decision whatsoever. And to be honest, I do think he will start. I don't think Frank Lampard is silly enough to make that mistake again. And if he is, then and we do manage to lose the game, and he doesn't start Solomon Rondon, and he starts with the same front three, then I'll be giving him a lot of criticism because he deserves it, because he'll have made that mistake 3 times on the bounce now. It didn't work last week, it didn't work the week before, it won't work tomorrow, and it won't work in 6 months' time if Anthony Gordon's still an Everton player, which again is up in the air at the moment. But you know, it is an important game. It's a significant game. As I said, it's not sort of the end of the world. It's not like we're sitting here saying if we don't win, then, you know, it's again, you know, the world's collapsing in on us. But we need to win, really. We need to win for a number of reasons. Firstly, as I said, because this is our last home game before that Merseyside derby, and we all know how absolutely dreadful our away record has been over the last few years. Secondly, because we need to win to get those 2 defeats out of our, you know, out the system, get a win in there, and then, you know, be able to kickstart our season properly. And also because of what it would do for the confidence, for the feeling around the football club. There's also, you know, there's at the moment there's a lot of worry because of the transfer business, because of the significant lack of, you know, striker brought in or forward being brought in. So there is a lot of worry at the moment as to, you know, the future of this team and whether or not we will bring a striker in. I think we will. To be fair, I said after the Aston Villa game, I think we'll have a striker in before this one. Evidently we haven't, but I just simply can't see us not bringing in at least 2 forwards before the end of the transfer window, one of them being either a winger or somebody that can play across the 3, and one of them being an out-and-out striker. However, we haven't got that yet, and therefore there is a lot of, I can understand why there's a lot of worry and, you know, as I said, anxiety. So a win tomorrow would help, you know, sort of lift that a little bit, and, you know, at least give us all something to smile about and give us all something to enjoy on our Saturday night, let's be honest, because the last 2 Saturday nights haven't been particularly enjoyable after Everton defeat. So we're going to have to come up against a difficult Nottingham Forest team to do it. A Nottingham Forest team managed by Steve Cooper, who for me is an absolutely fantastic manager. They've had a relatively probably expected start to the season. Difficult first game of the season away at Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle have got a lot of sort of hype around them at the moment, and there's seemingly a good vibe around that football club, certainly from the fan base because of the new owners and the money they're spending. They've made a couple of good signings this summer as well. So, you know, for Forest to lose 2-0 there wasn't a massive surprise, but then they did manage to get their opening win of the season last week in their first home game against West Ham, which how West Ham didn't get anything out of the game is absolutely beyond me. But they didn't get anything out of the game. Forest, you know, stood strong. Forest were decent as well. You know, created chances, ended up taking a chance, got the goal, and then whilst they rode their luck a little bit, you know, ultimately they come away with the 3 points, and they're off the board now, and they'll be on a lot of confidence. They've made 823 signings this season, including the latest, which is obviously a player who was linked with Everton for a long time, Morgan Gibbs-White, who was just officially signed for Nottingham Forest earlier today, I think, which would, I believe, make him available for tomorrow's game. They spent an absolutely ridiculous amount of money on him, £25 million plus add-ons for him. They apparently are in talks with, or were in talks with Hassem Aouar, who again would be quite the signing. Obviously, they've brought Jesse Lingard in, who's probably the most noticeable. They've got Brennan Johnson still there, Dean Henderson coming from Manchester United, Nico Williams. I think they've made 17 signings this summer, which is a clear indication. Cheku Kiarte, of course, one of them as well. A clear indication of their expectations, I think, for this season. Sometimes you see clubs promoted from the Championship who don't really do what Nottingham Forest are doing. Now, Fulham done this a couple of years ago, and it didn't work for them. I think they ended up going down that season, and luckily enough for Fulham, it didn't affect them too much financially. I think they come up the next season because they used their parachute payment, which meant that they were okay financially. But not many teams you see coming up from the Championship, promoted from the Championship, and making not only such drastic changes to their squad in terms of bringing in so many players, but spending so much money as well. Nottingham Forest have spent a lot of money this season on improving their team and changing their team around, and this isn't the same Nottingham Forest team that were playing in the Championship last season. They've lost Jed Spence, who of course went back to Middlesbrough on loan, and he's since signed for Tottenham, or he's certainly been linked with Tottenham. I don't know if that's been made official yet. Obviously they've still got Brennan Johnson, managed to sign him to a new contract. He was massive in the Championship last season, but other than Brennan Johnson, this is a very, very, very different Nottingham Forest team, a very different outlet, because of all of the signings that they've made and how, massively back Steve Cooper has been over the last couple of months or so of the transfer window. And that shows for me their intent to stay in this league. They don't want to be a team that sort of come up, come down, come up, come down. And Norwich, if you like, or West Brom, if you like, Fulham to an extent as well. All teams that come up don't really spend an awful lot of money. I know Fulham were an exception at one point because they had a big summer a couple of years ago. But certainly your Norwiches and your West Broms, they're always in the Premier League every other year. But they never, Bournemouth another one, but they never seem to spend ridiculous amounts of money on players because it's almost like they're happy to come up, go down, get the parachute payments, make enough changes to win the championship that season, come back up again and then just keep doing that. Whereas Forest very clearly are making an intent to want to stay in the Premier League and not have to, go through that role of being a yo-yo club, if you like. And I do think Nottingham Forest will stay up this season. I really, really do. Whether they stay up next season is a different question because we've seen a couple of clubs who fell to that second season syndrome and ended up really, really struggling the following season. We've seen Sheffield United do it. They nearly finished in a European position in their opening season back in the Premier League, relegated the season after. Brentford again. I think Brentford are in trouble this season, to be honest with you, although obviously they've just absolutely steamrolled Manchester United. I still think they'll be in trouble. So it's good to see Nottingham Forest, come into the Premier League and spend so much money and back their manager and back their club so much. I like Nottingham Forest. Listen, they're a massive, massive football club, very, very historical football club, the type of football club that should be in the Premier League. And I don't usually entertain those types of conversations because I'm not a fan of the conversations of this team should be nowhere near the Premier League, but this team who are in League One should be near the Premier League because they're historically massive. The way I see it is if you're in the Premier League, you're in there because you deserve to be in there, and if you're not in the Premier League, you're not in there because you don't deserve to be in there. Leeds didn't deserve to be in the Premier League for the 15 years that they were out of it, and then they were promoted and they deserve to be in it. I don't like this whole get rid of this team in the Premier League. The Burnley arguments, people have said for years, get rid of Burnley. Why are they in the Premier League? They shouldn't be. Well, they're in the Premier League because they were managed absolutely phenomenally by Sean Dyche, and they deserve to be there year in, year out because they were always better than at least three teams. Obviously last season that was different. But it is good to see Nottingham Forest back because they are a massive club. As Thomas says, they lost 14 players out of contract last season, and obviously they've replaced them with 16 players. As I said, they're a massive club. I'm a big fan of Steve Cooper. I think he's a proper manager, football manager, not carried away with ego or with fame or any of that. He just wants to get in, do his job, manage his players, and sort of go home at the end of the night. And I'm a big fan of that. And it will be difficult tomorrow because Forest at the moment are riding on that, being back in the Premier League. As I said, made a lot of signings. They are obviously travelling to Goodison Park, which I think is a massive benefit for Everton. Again, as I said, winning their opening home game of the season last week against West Ham in a game in where really West Ham should have got something out of it. They were incredibly unlucky, but Forest managed to hang on. The atmosphere there was electric, but it will be different tomorrow at Goodison. Obviously, Everton are desperately needing a win, so I think the atmosphere tomorrow will be massive and a massive factor of Everton going out and winning, and maybe Nottingham Forest making so many signings will be a bit of a detriment to them, and certainly at this early on into the season. Now again, I remember having a conversation with with an ex-footballer. I won't name them, but I remember having a conversation with a very, very, very successful ex-footballer who said to me, you should never make more than 3 signings in a transfer window. Now, obviously, things change and circumstances change, and as you said, Nottingham Forest lost so many players out of contract. Think circumstances are different with Everton, which has meant Everton have got to sign more than 3 players. But I understand the sentiments of typically when a team signs 7, 8, 9, 10 players, it's impossible to be able to bed those players in and for it to be a success. And I remember Tottenham selling Gareth Bale and replacing him with 8 different players, and I think only Christian Eriksen really was a success in that group. Everybody else was a complete waste of money. Everton did it. We sold Romelu Lukaku, we brought 823 number 10s in, and it was detriment to us. It's the reason why we're sitting here now scavenging around for pennies to buy different players, because we wasted so much money. So it's not always a benefit going out there and bringing in so many different players who have come from so many different systems, so many different personalities, and having all of those players, trying to bed in and trying to sort of, find their feet at a new club all at the same time. It can be an issue, but it seems like it's not working too badly for Nottingham Forest at the moment. As I said, they were okay in their opening game, beaten by a team that have got a lot of hype around them, and although they rode their luck a little bit, they managed to get the win last week at against West Ham, who again are a team that consistently for the last couple of years have been fighting for the European position. So this will be difficult. It will be difficult tomorrow. As I said, Steve Cooper's a fantastic manager and understands how to manage his side. And Forest are a team that have invested heavy. Players like Jesse Lingard, who are Premier League experience, Premier League quality. Morgan Gibbs-White, who hasn't had a lot of time in the Premier League, but somebody who Everton were linked with for 3, 4, 5 weeks. So they've brought in talent and they've brought in players that know how to play in this league and know what it takes to be a success in this league. And ultimately, that is a benefit for them, and it's up to Frank Lampard and Everton tomorrow to go out there, put all of that behind us. And what Everton have to do tomorrow, and Wunderlich says it right, Forest will not be a walkover. They won't be a walkover because they've brought so many players in that have played in this league before that it's impossible to walk all over them, because we're not playing a Nottingham Forest team that have just come up from the Championship and made very few changes. We're playing a completely different Nottingham Forest team to that one that played in the Championship last season. However, what Everton need to do is forget that it's Nottingham Forest. They have just signed Emmanuel Dennis as well, who, of course, again, another player Everton were linked with for 4, 5, 6 weeks to come in and replace Richarlison. He's just gone there. I'm sure he'll play at Goodison Park tomorrow. There's about 5 players that could potentially make their Nottingham Forest debut tomorrow, if not more. But what Everton need to do is forget that it's Nottingham Forest. Forget if it was Manchester United, forget if it was Manchester City, forget if it was Chelsea. What Everton need to do is focus on ourselves, and Frank Lampard and this squad need to focus on the fact that we need to win. And it's not a we need to win like it was at the back end of last season, where we're sitting here thinking if we don't win, we could potentially be relegated. But it's a we need to win because we need to kickstart our season. And, the worst thing that could happen to Everton is 3 defeats on the bounce in the opening 3 games and then not having another home game until the Merseyside derby, and that being in, mid-September. We could be going into mid to late September without a win, and I don't want to be negative. But let's be honest, I'm a realist, and if you've watched this channel for a number of years, you'll know I'm a realist, and I sit here and I tell it how it is. We are absolutely shite away from home. We are absolutely shite away from home. And last week, we played a really poor Aston Villa team. I don't give a shit what anybody says. A really poor Aston Villa team. And other than the last 10 minutes, we didn't really look like we could get anywhere near them, and they were shocking. So for me to sit here tomorrow and today and say that if we don't win tomorrow, we could be going into the middle of September without a win, that's not against that's not beyond the realms of possibility, because we've got 2 away games, which we all know we're shite away from home, even though they're 2 very winnable away games. And then we've got a Merseyside derby in there as well. So tomorrow is important for me, and it's important for Everton to go out, as I said, forget about the last 2 games and go and beat a side that are difficult, will be difficult to beat, managed well, invested heavily, but a beatable team, a very, very beatable team, a team that we should be able to go out there and, with the crowd and with the atmosphere in the stadium and with, the signings that we've made, obviously, I do think there'll be a couple of changes to the team as well, which is interesting. We should be able to go out there and win this game of football tomorrow. And if we can't, then there will be a lot of, I think, sort of worry, a lot of panic. And there'll be a lot of frustration as well because, as I said, when we all saw the fixtures, a couple of months ago, I think we all looked at the opening sort of few games of the season and said, well, okay, we've got Chelsea on the opening day. They hadn't beat us in, 8 years, 7 years at Goodison Park, something like that. Obviously, at this point, we didn't know that we were going to be without a striker. We didn't know Dominic Calvert-Lewin was going to be injured. We had Villa, who I think a lot of Evertonians will have thought we'd have gotten at least a point from, and then Forest at home, who a lot of people would have thought we'd take 3 points from. So tomorrow for me is big. And it's a game that Everton have simply got to go out there and win. For the fact that, we need something to be able to look forward to. We need something to be able to go, okay, we've got that first win now. If we win this one, then all of a sudden we target Brentford and we go, actually, do you know what? These are a beatable team as well. You go there and you beat them. Forget this wish it away from home attitude. I know I've just said it, but you go and you beat them, and then you've got Leeds, who again struggled last season. You go and you get something out of them. Then you're going into the Merseyside derby, all of a sudden potentially 3 wins on a bounce and a cut win. Confidence as anything, whilst Liverpool at the moment aren't looking particularly great themselves either. So it'll be tough. It will be tough. Am I expecting Everton to go out and win? I think it's a bit mad to expect anything from Everton at the moment, to be honest with you, because you never know what you're going to get from them. But I do expect us to go out and win tomorrow. I do. I'm sorry, but I'll be waking up tomorrow morning expecting to go into Goodison Park and leave with a massive smile on my face. Whichever way we do it, I expect us to win, and it will be tough because we've still got no striker. And ultimately, as I said in the title, Solomon Rondon has to start. There's no scenario on this planet where Solomon Rondon does not start tomorrow. No scenario. As baffling as that might sound, and as much as we might have thought I'd never say those words, and to be honest, I thought I'd never say those words, but that's irregardless to the point at the moment. Solomon Rondon has to start tomorrow. It's as simple as that. Anyway, we will get into the predicted starting 11 in just a second. Let's get into some of the comments first. Reese says, yes, lads, what's happening, Reese? Robert says, afternoon, Cam, what's happening? Robert, how are we, my mate? Gang says, top man, what's happening? Gang, how are we? What's up, fellas? Thanks, Cam. Come on, you Blues, says USA Toffee. My mate. Wanderlust says, this fixture's giving me butterflies. Is it? Is it giving you butterflies? It's not giving me butterflies. I'm not particularly nervous for it. I just think I just understand that it's important that we go out there and we get a win, and not even a result, because I don't even think a point would be good enough tomorrow. Hi, Cam up the toffee, says Jason. What's happening? 3 points, please, says Wanderlust. Adam says Everton was your great time to your job. I don't understand that, mate. Football is a forgiving sport, rightly or wrongly, says Wanderlust. It is. Kazuri says, how much do you think they offered for Ollie Watkins? Have they offered for Ollie Watkins? Is there rumours going around that I haven't read, or are we just talking in general here? Has something recently come out? Listen, there's quite a few transfer rumours to go through, and we're probably going to do a video maybe tomorrow morning. I'll see how I'm feeling. I'm not doing it today because I'm going to go on have a pint because it's sunny. But there's some stuff about Garner. There's more stuff about Anthony Gordon. Nothing too sort of groundbreaking, which is why we haven't done a transfer video for a couple of days. But yeah, I think the Ollie Watkins stuff is just incest at the moment, to be honest with you. Tim says, I really like Frank, but I'm not sure he'll play Rondon, although I think he should. If Frank Lampard openly plays Gordon, Gray and McNeil as a front three tomorrow and Everton lose, then I'm sorry, but then I would say questions do need to be asked. I really, really would. If we lose tomorrow and we lose playing Rondon and maybe Onana in there, then you look at it and you go, it's not good enough. Little bit of worry, but it's too early to be questioning the manager at this stage. If he plays that same front three and we get the same outcome, which we will, because of course we will, then I will question the manager and his decision making, because that'll be 3 games on the bounce. He's played a front three that we've known it is incapable of doing what we needed to do. But I don't think he will. Forest will not be a walkover, says Wanderlust. Absolutely, Jack the Lad says, people that say that Delhi is finished have no clue. 1, only 26. Bramley is ahead of him. 2, you just don't lose talent. The way people are talking would think he's 36. It mightn't even matter anyway, because he mightn't be an Everton player over the next 48 hours, so we'll wait and see. Inky says, never thought I'd see that title. Lol, Garner deal off, according to a little quip. Yeah, again, I'm not reading too much into the Garner stuff, anything, because at 1 minute he's agreed that, the other day we literally got told by some really, really reliable sources that all of the issues had been solved. Now there was no more issues, everything had been solved, and he'll be an Everton player. And now we're hearing that there's more issues. I'll perk my ears up when he's announced as an Everton player, or with officially being told it's off, and I haven't been told either yet. So, Aston says, hiya Cam, how are you? I'm not too bad, mate. How you doing? Lala says, the scary thing is I wouldn't be surprised if we lost. Oh no, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. Claire says, who goes down for you, Cam? Who goes down? What do you mean, who goes down? Who comes out? Damari Gray comes out for me, but we'll do our predicted starting 11 in a second. And Inky says, the problem is Forest don't have a relegation clauses, as you said. I really think Nottingham Forest could be hit with SSS. Well, listen, Forest have spent a lot of money and they've invested a lot. If Forest were to go down this season, and not come back up the following season, I would worry that FFP would trouble them. But I think Forest. I don't think Forest will go down, and I think Forest are doing an awful lot to assure that doesn't happen. Sam says, "Can I have a Cristiano Ronaldo suey, please? Cam, it's my son's birthday." I know you haven't got a son, Sam. I know you're literally waiting for me to come and have a pint with you, but suey. Blue Cali says, "Hiya, Cam. Even in Blues, another game with no striker. He was no goals." Well, Rondon's a striker, so he's gonna have to play. And Liam says, "Is right, Cam, up the top." Is right, Liam is right. Anyway. Let's get into our predicted starting 11 then for this game. As we said, whether or not Frank Lampard will make the changes necessary to give Everton a chance of getting something, I don't know. We'll wait and see. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. That would mean a massive, massive, massive amount to me. We will do another transfer video. It will either be tomorrow morning before the game, or it will be Sunday afternoon. We'll wait and see. But at the moment, it's just rumours at the moment. We're linked with a new player every day. Apparently, Southampton laughed off our inquiry for Che Adams, which is ironic, really, because Ralph Hasenhüttl literally is disliked by every Southampton player. So I don't know why they're laughing anything off, but there you go. Anyway. And Jane says, "What's happening with Garnagate?" We don't know. The Little Quit were reporting today that there's been an issue with the deal, and it's not looking good. But yesterday or the day before, we heard from other sources that everything was on course and all the problems have been, solved. So I don't know who to believe. I'll speak to somebody later and I'll get an update. But at the moment, I just want us to win a game of footy, to be honest with you. And I don't know whether it was Ped or somebody else. Somebody tweeted earlier that it almost seems, especially the way the press conferences are going and stuff, and the way obviously we're all interacting on social media, it almost seems that Liam says, "Is the Mighty Blues member group thing gone now, lad?" No, I think you've got to renew every month, mate. You still should be able to do it with the little pay symbol. I think you should be able to become a member, or if not, if you go on the channel and it says join and it's there. But somebody said on Twitter today, it almost seems like games are sort of secondary at the moment, and it's just all transfer talk, as if we're not midway through a season. And I sort of looked at it and was like, well, not midway through, but as if we've not started the season. And I sort of read it and I thought, you know what, that's right. Like the Ghana stuff at the minute, I'm not really asked. I just want Everton to win tomorrow. That's all I'm really asked about. Whether Ghana's on or off, I'll focus on that after tomorrow. I just want Everton to go out and win a game of footy. That's all I'm focused on. And it does seem at the moment that there's a lot of attention on, are we going to get a striker? Are we going to get Ghana? Who are we going to sign? And are we forgetting that we've lost our opening 2 Premier League games here and we need to win tomorrow for a lot of reasons? So, yeah, the Ghana stuff, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I just want us to go and beat Nottingham Forest tomorrow. Anyway... This is my predicted starting 11 that I hope will play tomorrow. In goal, I'm going for Jordan Pickford. He hasn't had the greatest start to the season by his standards. Don't get me wrong, he's not been awful. I don't think he was at fault for either goal against Aston Villa. There were a couple of times when his distribution was a little bit ropey. There were a couple of times when maybe he could have done a little bit better in certain situations. But the reality is, he's our number one. Asmir Begovic was linked to Manchester United yesterday, by the way, if you want to have a laugh. I don't know why, but Manchester United seem to just be wanting to sign anybody at the moment. But no, Jordan will start, of course. He'll start. He's our number one. He probably will be captain because he's been captain, I think, for the opening 2 games of the season. So he'll probably be captain. And yeah, there you go. Jordan will start. Defence, I'm going for Mikalenko left wing back. I'm going for Nathan Patterson right wing back. I'm going for Connor Cody, Tarkowski and Mason Holgate. No changes there. I just don't really see the need to make any changes, to be honest with you. The only one we could, or maybe 2 we could possibly make, we could possibly make 3. Coleman for Patterson, which I don't think would happen because Nathan Patterson over the last couple of games has been probably our best player. Certainly linked with, him and Iwobi. If it's not Patterson, it's Iwobi. So I don't think there's a necessity to take him out the team to push Seamus Coleman in. I know Seamus is back fit now, and we've seen a glimpse of him. But I just don't think there's a necessity to do that. Plus, we know Nathan Patterson's capable of offering us a lot more going forward. When he's a lot quicker and a lot younger, etc. I don't see the need to bring Michael Keane into that back 3. Connor Cody, I thought, done an okay job. Obviously, didn't finish the game, only played, 70 minutes, something like that. So I dare say he'll be fitter because he's had that extra minutes rest. Again, done relatively well, and I think he'll savour the Goodison atmosphere and making his Goodison debut. James Tarkowski will, of course, start. And as I said, I thought Mason was okay last week. Seen a couple of people saying he was at fault for the goals. I actually think the second goal is Tarkowski's fault. We can sit here and say it's Onana's fault, etc., etc., but it's Tarkowski's fault because ultimately he doesn't cover his man when he goes on the run. And the first goal is probably just a bit of luck. So, yeah, I think other than that, and Iwobi and Patterson, I think probably Mason Holgate was next in line for the best Everton played on the pitch last week. So, yeah, no changes there. Wing back, you could potentially bring Vinagre in. Mykolenko wasn't great last weekend, it has to be said. Positionally, he got caught a couple of times. He got done defensively as well a couple of times. But the reality is that's one bad game in about 4 or 5 months for Vitaly Mykolenko. So I don't think it's any necessity to change him. I wouldn't mind seeing Vinagre in there, but I wouldn't mind seeing Vinagre in the same team as Mykolenko. I don't necessarily think Mykolenko should be taken out for Vinagre. Into the midfield then, I'm going with Alex Iwobi and Amadou Onana. Interestingly enough, Frank Lampard was asked about Amadou Onana today and whether or not he's fit enough to start. He said, interestingly, Frank Lampard said he's waiting to make that decision and he's going to wait as long as possible to make that decision, which would suggest that he's not ready to start, because if he was ready to start, he'll have just come out. I mean, the press conference was literally 24 hours before the game, so I don't know how much more waiting he wants to do. He'll have only seen him probably once more before the game. There'll have been a training session this afternoon after the press conference, and that was it. I don't know whether he's waiting to call him up in the morning and say, do a few sprints around your garden, lad, and tell me how you feel. I don't really know what he's waiting for, but he did make a specific point of saying I'm waiting for the last possible moment to make that decision, which would suggest to me that he isn't fit. However, he looked fit enough when he come on in that final 15 minutes against Villa. He literally changed the game. Okay, made a bit of a mistake for their second goal, but you know he created our goal completely on his own, and was the difference maker. There's also a video that's gone out, I think, today on Everton's official YouTube channel, and there's a clip going around on Twitter. I've shared it on our Twitter of him literally screaming at players, telling players where to go, telling players where to be, encouraging players, telling them they're doing a lot better. This lad's a leader. This lad is a natural leader, and I can see him being very, very, very successful at this football club over the coming years. If he doesn't start, it will be Tom Davies. I think Abdoulaye Doucouré said to be out for 3 weeks. Frank Lampard confirmed that as well. But I just think give him a go, and I think if he's ready, he's got to start. Whether or not he's ready, as I said, the suggestion of I'm waiting until the final moment would suggest he isn't. But maybe that's just Frank Lampard being a little bit secretive with it. Maybe that's Frank Lampard not wanting to come out and say, oh yeah, he's starting tomorrow. I would really like to see him start, because I think those leadership qualities, I think he'll feed off the Goodison crowd as well. For the 10 minutes he was on last week, he was constantly trying to rile the crowd up and getting over to the crowd and stuff. So I think he'll feed off that. We all know him as a footballer. He's dominant, he's big. I actually think he could cause Nottingham Forest some big issues tomorrow. I really, really do. Iwobi next to him. Obviously, Alex Iwobi's been absolutely phenomenal recently. There's not a scenario in which Alex Iwobi doesn't start for Everton tomorrow. It's as simple as that, and that might sound mad considering 2-3 months ago we were talking about Alex Iwobi not being good enough to be here. Now we're talking about him being first name on the team sheet, but he is. That's massively down to Alex Iwobi and his work rate and his desire and his determination and his effort to improve and to get better. So he starts, as I said, he was fantastic on Saturday against Villa, man of the match for me. And yeah, as I said, there's no way he doesn't start. And then front three. Now, Frank could change the formation, I suppose. I don't think he will. He could change the formation, but I'm going to assume he won't because of the opening 2 games of the season. And I think the fact that this is the way he wants to play, and therefore I can't see him changing that. The front three, I'm going for Anthony Gordon on the left. I'm going for Dwight McNeil on the right. And I'm going for Solomon Rondon up front. Demarai Gray comes out for me. It's as simple as that. Don't get me wrong. There's not been a lot of difference between the three of them over the last 2 games. I think they've all been equally as shit as each other, to be honest with you. However, understanding that isn't their fault. They're all being played in I wouldn't say out of position because obviously Gray and McNeil are being played on the wing, but it's a very different sort of, system for wingers than it will be if they had a natural striker there. But I just think Damari Gray has been the worst of the bunch, to be honest with you. Not by much. Anthony Gordon's not being great in terms of his end product, but he's worked hard, he's battled, and the Anthony Gordon dynamic will be interesting tomorrow because I do think he'll start. The manager's already confirmed he's in the squad, so I do think he'll start and it'll be interesting. I'm sure he'll get a massive reception. I'm sure he'll get a massive cheer. Whether that has any effect on whether or not he remains at the football club is to be seen. Frank Lampard was asked a load of questions about him today. He was even asked one from Alistair McCowan, which was as blunt as, can you tell me whether Anthony Gordon will be here at this football club come the end of the transfer window? I think he said something along the lines of, can you assure me that Anthony Gordon will be here? And Frank Lampard quite rightly said, I can't assure you anything. Sorry, there's a bit of shit on me, Mike. Frank Lampard quite rightly said, I can't assure you anything. I can't assure you I'll be here by the end of the window. I can't assure you Anthony Gordon will be here by the end of the window. So I thought that was interesting. He did say a lot of things along the lines of Anthony's our player and he wants to play and he wants to improve in this, that and the other. But it's very, very clear that there's a situation going on there, and how that situation will conclude, we will have to wait and see. But I do think he'll start tomorrow. Dwight McNeil, again, be nice to see him get a little bit of free reign. Obviously, difficult game against Chelsea, wasn't in it whatsoever. Be nice to see him hopefully take a little bit of responsibility, because I think the last couple of games he's not hidden, but he hasn't been in the game whatsoever. So it'll be nice to see him hopefully get on the ball and take a bit of responsibility. And then Rondon, who for me is nailed on. We talk about Iwobi, we talk about Patterson, but Rondon for me is nailed on to start it. It's not through him being amazing or him having an unbelievable start to the season. It's to the fact that we simply can't play those three as a front three again. And we've got nobody else that could come in and fill that role. We still haven't signed a striker, to everybody's disgust, mine included. And Rondon will ultimately have to start. And I actually think Rondon starting will give us a benefit, because when he come off the bench against Villa, all of a sudden we looked a lot more of a threat because we had a target man. All of a sudden, James Tarkowski's and and Mason Holgate's long balls up, we're not just getting it back down to us. They were actually being consoled. They were actually being taken down. They were actually being used. And I actually think Solomon Rondon will benefit us playing tomorrow, not in the sense that I think he'll score an hat-trick or I think he'll be unbelievable on the ball, just in the sense that I think he will allow us to play the way we want to play, and those, Gordon, Gray and McNeil don't allow that at all. So there you go. That's my predicted starting 11. Let us know your thoughts on it. Do you agree with it? If you do, then leave a like. If you don't, then leave a like as well, because that would be absolutely amazing. Adam says Everton was used to time. Great was your job. Again, I don't understand it, mate, but thank you. If you are enjoying, please hit that like button. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Nice Size says, Wonderlust, do you think Diaz would be a good signing? Better than Diaz? I think he'd be a good signing. I don't think he's somebody we can hang our hat on being our saviour for goals this season, but I think he'd be a good signing. I agree with your starting 11. Hopefully Rondon can last the first half. Hopefully Rondon can last all game, to be honest with you. Double figures for Rondon FC, because Kazuri. Liam says, my only concern is that isolated strikers don't usually work against the back three. Yeah, I understand that, but that's when Gordon and McNeil or Gordon and Gray or Graham, whoever it may be, that's when they need to come into the game a lot more, and their output needs to be a lot better. And Rondon just can be the target man. Listen, I get it. And I get there's not a lot of love for Rondon, and I get that in an ideal world we wouldn't be here. For me, if you ask me now, what's your one hope ahead of tomorrow? It's Solomon Rondon starts. Because I just can't watch that front three do fuck all again for another 90 minutes. Who was your favourite striker out of all of those? Link Cam. Terem Moffey, probably. He's never going to say outright who's starting, says Liam. Exactly. Delhi was saying him with the team. Maybe he's staying. Well, Gordon was as well. I mean, it's an expectation that they'll stay with the team, isn't he? Edward says thoughts on Mopey situation. He's going to Fulham, isn't he? He's going to Fulham, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Blue Cali says, can you stop after the midfield cam? Don't want to wear our shite front line again. Well, there you go. Look, anyway, we are going to finish it there then. I'm going to go and have a pint because it's Friday. I've been in work all week. I've just been in the gym. My arms are killing. My arms look absolutely massive. so I want to go and have a pint. If you have enjoyed this one, please hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comments and we'll get involved with them. If you watch live, massive thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. 140 people on a preview. Usually we don't get anywhere near these numbers, so thank you all so much. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe. Liam says I'm still a member and that, but no badge. I'm lost, lad. I'll have a little look at it later, mate, because it shouldn't. There were still people in here yesterday with badges, so I'm not too sure why, but I'll have a look at it for you, Liam. But yeah, we will be back tomorrow, either with a transfer video in the afternoon or definitely with an instant match reaction and a player ratings directly after the game, so look out for those. And yeah, let's hope we can go out and win, because we really need it. You know, if we don't win tomorrow, I think it'll just be more unnecessary sort of stress and anxiety on us. And as I said, I know we're looking at transfers at the moment. I know what do you think on Garner and a striker and this, that and the other. I just can't look past them. It's like when people ask me about the stadium, I'm like, at this moment, I'm not really asked about the stadium. I just want us to win games of footy and sign strikers, sign players. Well, yeah, sign strikers. But for me tomorrow, it's just about going out and winning. And hopefully we can do that. But anyway, look, big thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. And yeah, let's hope we can go out and get all the 3 points. Massive thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.